Have you ever felt it? That instant deflation. You're having a perfectly good day, energized, focused, alive, and then you encounter that person. Within seconds, something shifts. Your energy plummets. Your thoughts scatter. Your very essence seems to dim. Carl Jung warned us about this phenomenon nearly a century ago. He called it psychic infection, when another person's unconscious darkness bleeds into your light, contaminating your psychological space without a single word being exchanged. What if I told you there's a pattern to this energy drain? What if you could spot these psychological vampires in just 5 seconds before they ruin your day, your week, or even derail your life? In this video, I'll reveal Jung's hidden red flag, the unconscious signal that someone is about to drain your vital force. By the time we're done, you'll possess an ancient psychological tool made relevant for our modern age of burnout and hidden toxicity. The choice is simple. Master this 5-second test now, or keep surrendering your energy to those who need it most but deserve it least. Before we dive into the red flag itself, let's understand the man who discovered it. Carl Gustav Jung wasn't just another psychologist. Born in 1875 in Switzerland, he began as Sigmund Freud's protege, the chosen heir to psychoanalysis. But Jung's obsession with the depths of human consciousness took him places Freud refused to go. While Freud focused on sexual repression, Jung ventured into humanity's spiritual dimension. He explored dreams, myths, alchemy, and the patterns that connect all human experience. After a dramatic split with Freud, Jung founded analytical psychology, a system that acknowledged both science and soul. Jung's revolutionary concepts change how we understand ourselves. The collective unconscious, a shared psychological inheritance containing universal symbols and instincts. Archetypes, primordial images that appear across all cultures. The hero, the mother, the shadow, the wise elder, the shadow, the part of ourselves we refuse to see, containing both our darkest impulses and our untapped gold. Psychological projection, our tendency to see in others what we cannot accept in ourselves. But perhaps Jung's most chilling insight was this: until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Why does this matter today? Because we live in an unprecedented age of energy depletion. Burnout, anxiety, digital overwhelm, and rising narcissism create the perfect storm for energy drainage. Jung saw this coming. The collective psychic infection that would characterize our modern epidemic of emptiness. In Jung's view, energy drainers aren't just annoying people. They're carriers of unconscious content, wielding psychological weapons that operate below awareness. They don't just take your time, they hijack your very life force. Jung wrote, "In all chaos there's a cosmos, in all disorder a secret order." The chaos of energy drainage follows patterns we can detect, if we know exactly what to look for. Let's define our target precisely. An energy drainer isn't simply someone with different opinions or an occasionally negative mood. We're identifying something far more specific and insidious. Energy drainers are individuals who, consciously or unconsciously, siphon your vital force, creativity, peace, and self-worth through subtle psychological manipulation. After interactions with them, you feel diminished rather than enhanced. The exchange is fundamentally unequal, leaving you depleted while they appear energized by the very force they've extracted from you. From a Jungian perspective, these individuals typically embody distorted versions of universal archetypes. Let's examine the 5 most common types. 1. The eternal victim, the martyr archetype. In healthy form, the martyr represents noble sacrifice. In its shadow form, it becomes the eternal victim, perpetually persecuted, never responsible. Their signature move, "Nothing ever works out for me," followed by a litany of catastrophes, each more dramatic than the last. Their unconscious goal, to extract sympathy, attention, and emotional labor without reciprocity. Jung would say, they've identified so completely with their suffering that it's become their primary source of identity. Point 2. The grandiose narcissist, shadow king/queen. The healthy king/queen archetype brings order, protection, and generosity. Its shadow distortion becomes the grandiose narcissist. Their signature move, one-upmanship, conversation domination, subtle put-downs disguised as just being honest. Their unconscious goal, to feed their fragile self-image by diminishing others. Jung would say, inflation has occurred. They've collapsed the boundary between ego and self, mistaking their limited personality for divine totality. Point 3. The chaotic catalyst, trickster gone rogue. The trickster archetype brings beneficial disruption and creativity. Its shadow becomes the chaotic catalyst, manufacturing crisis to avoid authenticity. Their signature move, you won't believe what just happened. Their lives are an endless series of dramatic emergencies requiring your immediate attention. Their unconscious goal, to distract themselves from inner emptiness by creating external chaos. Jung would say, they're possessed by the shadow aspect of Mercurius, all quicksilver movement, no substance. Point 4. The silent guilt tripper, passive-aggressive shadow. The healthy sage archetype offers wisdom without force. Its shadow becomes the silent guilt tripper. Their signature move, deep sighs, pointed silence, subtle martyrdom without direct communication. Their unconscious goal, to control through implied disappointment rather than honest expression. Jung would say, they're acting out the mother/father complex, expecting others to intuit their needs as a parent would for an infant. Point 5. The intellectual dominator, persona mask of superiority. The healthy teacher archetype shares knowledge to empower others. Its shadow becomes the intellectual dominator. Their signature move, actually, followed by corrections, pedantry, and contempt for others' perspectives. Their unconscious goal, to establish intellectual hierarchy rather than connection. Jung would say, they're over-identified with the persona, social mask, compensating for profound inner insecurity. The science behind energy drainage is where Jung's intuitions meet modern research. These interactions trigger cortisol spikes that stay elevated hours after contact, mirror neuron overactivation, causing you to absorb their negative states. Emotional contagion. The unconscious transmission of mood, cognitive load increases as you process their subliminal attacks. The real-life cost is staggering. Lost productivity, creative blocks, anxiety, depression, and perhaps most damaging, eroded self-trust. After prolonged exposure, you may stop trusting your own perceptions, the hallmark of what we now call gaslighting. As Jung warned, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. But understanding doesn't mean enduring. Recognition is the first step toward protection. Now we arrive at the core revelation. Jung's hidden red flag, the universal warning sign that someone is about to drain your energy. While Jung never packaged this insight as a 5-second test, his writings on psychic energy exchange contain a profound truth. The primary red flag is the absence of reciprocity in psychic energy. Jung observed that healthy human interactions involve a balanced energy exchange, a giving and receiving that leaves both parties enriched. Energy drainers, however, create immediate energetic asymmetry. The transaction is fundamentally extractive rather than mutual. The 5-second test allows you to detect this asymmetry almost instantly, before conscious thought can rationalize or deny what your deeper self already knows. Here's exactly what to look for. 1. Eye contact dynamics within the first 5 seconds. Observe their eyes. Energy drainers typically exhibit one of two extremes: avoidance. They look everywhere, but at you, past you, through you, at their phone, signaling disconnection from authentic exchange. Overpenetration. Their gaze is unnaturally fixed, predatory, consuming, more like an assessment than a connection. Jung noted that eyes reveal the anima/animus soul quality. Healthy eyes engage in a dance of connection and respect. Draining eyes either refuse the dance or attempt to dominate. At point 2. Body language mismatch within 5 seconds. Scan for incongruence between their words and body. Their mouth smiles while their body stiffens. They say, "I'm listening," while leaning away. They claim interest while checking the time. Jung emphasized that the body never lies. It reveals what consciousness conceals. This somatic incongruence, is your unconscious detecting their unconscious. Point 3. Tone shift on trigger words. This requires you to drop a key word within the first moments of interaction. Mention boundaries, self-care, success, a healthy no. Watch for the micro-expression, that fleeting facial change before their social mask resets. Energy drainers will flash contempt, lip corner tightening, microaggression, nostril flare, dismissal, eye roll, confusion, genuine bewilderment at your self-protection. Jung would recognize this as the complex indicator. When you touch on their psychological wound, their whole demeanor shifts. Point 4. Immediate topic hijacking. Within seconds of you sharing something meaningful, your joy becomes their greater joy. Your challenge becomes their catastrophe. Your news becomes a springboard to their story. Notice the speed of the transition. There's no pause to absorb your experience before redirecting to theirs. Jung called this identification, the inability to distinguish between self and other, a developmental arrest in psychological maturation. Point 5. The vibe drop. This is the most subjective yet most reliable indicator. Within 5 seconds of interaction, your body will register a visceral shift, sudden heaviness in your solar plexus, mental fogginess where clarity existed moments before, an inexplicable urge to check the time or escape, a subtle sinking sensation, as if your vitality is being pulled downward. Jung wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." The vibe drop is your system registering a toxic transformation. This 5-second assessment bypasses your rational mind and accesses what Jung called the function of intuition, direct perception without conscious reasoning. It's not mystical. It's your psychological immune system at work. The beauty of this test is its efficiency. You don't need years of therapy or complex analysis. Your unconscious mind already knows. You simply need to grant it permission to protect you. As Jung himself said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." This choice begins with recognizing, within 5 seconds, who deserves access to your energetic field. If this 5-second test is so effective, why do we repeatedly miss these obvious signs? Why do we find ourselves trapped in draining relationships for years, sometimes decades? Jung's answer is both elegant and uncomfortable. We don't recognize energy drainers because they embody our own unacknowledged shadow material. Everything that irritates us about others, Jung wrote, can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. The energy drainer isn't just a random toxic person. They're a living, breathing manifestation of what you've refused to see in yourself. This is Jung's shadow trap, and it operates through 4 primary mechanisms. 1. The wounded mirrors the wound. You tolerate energy drainage because the drainer mirrors your unhealed wounds. If you struggle with worthiness, you'll attract those who reinforce your unworthiness. If you fear abandonment, you'll tolerate those who repeatedly leave you emotionally. If you doubt your perceptions, you'll accept those who gaslight you. Jung observed that we're unconsciously drawn to people who activate our complexes, those emotional hotspots formed in childhood. We mistake this activation for connection, even love. Point 2. Intensity versus intimacy. Confusion. Energy drainers are masters at creating psychological intensity, which the untrained psyche mistakes for genuine intimacy. Drama feels more alive than peace. Emotional storms seem more passionate than calm waters. Crisis creates false bonds that feel stronger than steady connection. He noted that the primitive mind equates strong emotion with significance. The energy drainer exploits this confusion, creating intense experiences that simulate intimacy while actually preventing it. Point 3. The rescuer's delusion. Many of us harbor an unconscious belief that by fixing someone else, we'll heal ourselves. If I can save them, I prove my worth. Their chaos justifies my existence. Their need for me ensures they won't leave. Jung called this projection of the inner healer, attributing to ourselves divine powers of salvation that properly belong to the self, the organizing center of the psyche. This inflation keeps us locked in draining relationships. Point 4. Projection. Seeing your gold in their shadow, perhaps most insidious, is our tendency to project our disowned positive qualities onto energy drainers. You see strength in their domination because you've disowned your authentic power. You admire their honesty, actually cruelty. Because you've suppressed your truth, you're drawn to their freedom, actually irresponsibility. Because you've caged your spontaneity, Jung emphasized that the shadow contains not just our darkness, but our unlived light, the goal we've buried. Energy drainers often display distorted versions of our own untapped potential. The shadow, Jung wrote, is a moral problem that challenges the whole ego personality. Until you face your own shadow aspects, you'll continue to be manipulated by those who embody them. This explains why information alone doesn't break the pattern. You can intellectually know someone is draining you while emotionally remaining unable to detach. The 5-second test works precisely because it bypasses this intellectual defense, accessing the deeper knowing that precedes rationalization. The solution isn't just recognizing the energy drainer, it's recognizing the part of yourself that keeps the door open to them. The power of Jung's red flag becomes evident in the transformation stories of those who've applied it. While respecting privacy, let me share 3 composite cases that demonstrate the profound shift that occurs when people trust their 5-second assessment. Story 1. The corporate executive's awakening. Michael, a 42-year-old marketing executive, couldn't understand his persistent anxiety and insomnia. Despite his success, he felt constantly depleted. During our work together, he learned the 5-second test and immediately recognized his boss's pattern. Within seconds of any interaction, he'd established dominance through subtle eye invasions, staring just a beat too long, interrupting my thoughts. I'd leave meetings feeling like I'd run a marathon. Michael's key insight came when he noticed the eye contact red flag. His boss never truly looked at him, but rather at what Michael could provide. Action taken. Michael documented interactions, transferred to another team, and established clear communication boundaries. Within weeks, his sleep improved, creativity returned, and his performance reviews actually increased. Michael's reflection: I thought I was going crazy, that the problem was my performance. Recognizing the energy drain pattern helped me see it wasn't personal. It was a predictable archetypal dynamic I could navigate. Story 2. The artist reclaims her creative force. Sophia, a 35-year-old painter, struggled with creative blocks. Her work sold well, but producing it became increasingly difficult. During a session, she realized a friend showed all 5 red flags in the first moments of interaction. She called to catch up, and I'd mention a gallery interested in my work. Within seconds, literally seconds, she'd hijacked the conversation to her own creative struggles, dramatically worse than mine. I'd hang up feeling guilty for my success and doubting my talent. Sophia's breakthrough came when she noticed the immediate topic hijacking pattern. How quickly her joy was converted into her friend's suffering. Action taken. Sophia limited contact, stopped sharing creative victories, and eventually created clear separation. Within 3 months, she completed her most ambitious collection. Yet Sophia's insight: I realized I was unconsciously sacrificing my creative force to appease her envy. The 5-second test showed me how automatic this pattern had become. Breaking it felt like removing creative handcuffs. Story 3. The student's academic revival. Jamal, a 20-year-old college student, watched his grades plummet after moving in with a new roommate. Previously an A student, he now struggled to complete assignments. Something fell off from day one, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Learning about the vibe drop gave me language for what I was experiencing. Every time I'd sit down to study, he'd create a crisis that needed immediate attention. Jamal's critical observation was the vibe drop, the visceral energy depletion he felt within seconds of his roommate entering their shared space. Action taken. Jamal created firm study boundaries, found alternative study locations, and ultimately requested a housing change. His GPA recovered completely the following semester. Jamal's realization: I thought I was being a bad friend by prioritizing my work. Recognizing the energy drain pattern helped me see I wasn't helping him by sacrificing my future. The common thread in these stories isn't just the application of the 5-second test. It's the speed with which recovery happened once the draining pattern was interrupted. As Jung observed, psychic energy operates on principles similar to physical energy. When you stop the leak, resources rapidly replenish. Those who act quickly recover quickly. Energy that was once diverted into managing difficult personalities becomes available for creation, growth, and authentic connection. We've reached the crossroads of knowledge and action. You now possess Jung's hidden red flag, the ability to spot energy drainers in just 5 seconds. But information without implementation is merely entertainment. The harsh truth is this. Every minute spent in the presence of an energy drainer is a minute stolen from your destiny. Every hour absorbed in their drama is an hour diverted from your purpose. Every day tolerating psychic infection is a day delaying your individuation, the becoming of who you truly are. Jung warned, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Energy drainers make this privilege nearly impossible to claim. Your challenge, should you accept it, is this. For the next 48 hours, apply the 5-second test to every human interaction. Notice the eye contact dynamic, the body language congruence, the response to boundary words, the topic management, the visceral energy effect. Document what you discover. You may be shocked at how many interactions deplete rather than nourish you, and how quickly you can detect them. To support your journey, I created a free, downloadable Jungian energy audit checklist that walks you through the process. Find the link in the description below. Remember Jung's wisdom. You are what you do, not what you say you'll do. This is your invitation to action, to consciously curate your energetic environment with the same care you would your physical home. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more Jungian tools adapted for modern psychological survival. This is just the beginning of reclaiming your vital force. In the comments, share your experience. I spotted my energy drainer using Q #___. Let's create a community of awareness and recovery. Jung believed that individual consciousness changes collective reality. As you protect your energy, you contribute to a more conscious world, one interaction at a time. The choice is yours. Act now on what you've learned, or pay later with your creativity, vitality, and purpose. Your energy is your most precious resource. Guard it accordingly.